Namaskar. Welcome to Prakash on Basics. I'm Prakash Zog. We were talking about Bhakti. Bhakt is a devotee. The one who follows the path of Bhakti is a Bhakt. But then, when Indian scriptures explain Bhakt, that's just a lot more than just this concept of devotee. We'll try and look into these aspects today as to the different types of bhaktas that are around. In the Gita and in the Purans, different types of bhaktas have been mentioned. Uh, there are some additional information points associated with them also, but I'll come to those a little later. We must first realize that in none of them is there any reference to the attire, to the hairstyle, to the caste, to the creed, to the religion, to the sex, anything related to superfluously to what a bhakta is. So it deals purely with its characteristics. The original pattern of explaining what bhakta is specified in the Gita in the dialogues between Arjun and Shri Krishna. There, Shri Krishna specifies 4 different types of bhaktas. He calls them Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, and Jnani. We need to understand these words and their characteristics. Their levels, of course, are on the rise as we move from one to the next one. The Arth basically means the one who is desperately calling out to the Lord, the one who is in dire trouble, who has no one to resort to but the Lord's help, and that's why he is in this mode of bhakti. The bhakta at this stage is said to be an artha bhakta. Physical harm, medical problems, scare, life threatening situations, all these lead to people going into prayers and praying to the Lord for help. It is this stage that represents the Artha Bhakta. Please realize that there are some examples, very typical examples that are specified in the Puranas and other places also. The one that deals with one of the categories very similar to the avatar is about an elephant called Gajendra, and the whole episode is reflected as Gajendra Moksha, when he went to drink water and his foot was taken hold of by a crocodile who started dragging the elephant into the waters. Fearing death, he prayed to Vishnu. Hari is the form in which Vishnu came down and protected him, saved his life. This is what is known as the Gajendra Moksha, and the state of Gajendra is said to be the Artha Bhakta, which is a very typical stage, the earliest form. Then there is one more episode that is very often referred to in Mahabharata by the people. As to whether it actually exists in the Mahabharata or not is an issue that I will come to, maybe not today. This deals with the situation where Draupadi is being harassed in the court, and she is desperately praying to Shri Krishna to come and help her, protect her vanity, protect her from the evil eyes of everybody else. And so there are so many pictures of Draupadi desperately praying to him, and that is what is typically an Artha Bhakta, praying out to the Lord. That brings us to the second category, the Artharthi. Artha basically refers to benefits. This is obviously the next level. This is the Bhakta who does bhakti with a desire and some form of expectation in his mind. It could be usually before or prior to the task, and may continue during the desired action also, or the activity that is being carried out. It can be for gaining money, name, fame, jobs, house, children, improvement in status. It's more of a give and takes that type. I'll do bhakti and you grant me this particular favor. So this sort of a relation is what is expressed in terms of the Artharthi type of a bhakta. It is a bhakti for fulfilling one's ambitions. It's for material benefits and for blessings. They can be actually separated out depending upon the three gunas that I talked of long back. It could also be separated out into subcategories depending upon the expectations and the nature as to whether it is for the good or for some evil purpose, whether the request has a final outcome that could be bad. I'll just quote some examples so that things could get clear. The earliest one that is talked of is about Dhruva, the child who wanted a place inseparable from where he would never be moved out, which is typically referred to as the Dhruva Pad. His father's lap is where he was sitting, and he was pushed from there down by his step brother, and so he felt extremely sad and prayed to achieve the Dhruva Pad, a location which would not be disturbed by anybody. Then there is a situation we can think of is Sugriv, the relation between Sugriv, the king who was an aspirant for his own kingdom, and his prayers to Sri Ram to grant him the facility of taking over his own kingdom. And then in Ramayana itself we have Vibhishan, who steps out from his brother's kingdom as an Artharthi Bhakta, because he is finally desirous of getting away from the evils and then taking over the kingdom of the Asuras in Sri Lanka. So achieving Rajya or the kingdom is what is there in both these cases, Sugriv as well as Vibhishan. But then there could be bad elements involved also. There were so many Asuras who prayed to the Ashutosh, the god who was very keen on giving boons to others and could be pleased very easily. We have Ravana praying to Shiva, we have Bhasmasur praying to Shiva, and then so many other Asuras who prayed to Shiva to get boons. There could be always situations which deal with benefits for oneself and for the benefit of others. There could be situations where it is for a final good cause or a final bad cause. The prayers that were carried out by Indrajit, the yajna that he carried out, Nikumbhini yajna, so that he could get powers to destroy Ram and Lakshman and all the army that was around. And we have a parallel situation where Sri Ram is praying at the end of India, Rameshwaram. He is praying to Rameshwar, that is the god of Ram, that is Shiva, to grant him permission to cross over the sea and win a battle that he is looking forward to. Their aims and objectives were different, so you cannot categorize both of them in the same category, but they are still artharthi, expecting something as a return for their prayers. Then there is a third category. It is known as the Jidnyasu, the inquisitive Bhakta. Here the desire is invariably to get some higher order knowledge. It could be for personal gains or for the benefit of others. So naturally the Bhakta here is a knowledge seeker and must have the discriminating ability between what is right, what is wrong, what is correct, what is required, what is not required, what is good, what is bad. Guru Bhakti, the dedication towards your own Guru or your teacher, is also part of this, because every Guru Bhakta is a part and parcel of this particular attitude to gain knowledge from his Guru to the best of his abilities. The dedication there many a times could exceed its limits also. This category is represented best by Arjun, who discusses with Sri Krishna on the philosophy of what life is, what is right, what is wrong. And all this is depicted in nothing but the greatest of texts, the Gita. That brings us to the fourth category, the Jnani. The word Jnani is the one who has acquired wisdom. And this Bhakta has crossed and reached the ultimate stage of Bhakti. He has nothing else in his mind but the Lord at every moment. He has overcome all his bondages, all his attachments, and is always in a state of contented peace and bliss. There is no sorrow, there is no anger towards anyone, for anyone. He is practically one with the Lord, which is a state which is known as Advaita. But I said practically because many of these ultimate stage bhaktas don't want salvation or mukti, because then they feel that mukti would end their bhakti and their contact with the Lord. So these bhaktas represent the Dvaita or the dual nature or dualism, which leads to greater joy for them than mukti. I am not sure whether I mentioned this, but Ramakrishna, Vivekananda's guru, said, I am not interested in Advaita, where I want to be the sugar or a sugar loaf. I want to be the ant that enjoys the beauty of sugar, which is the bhakti for the Lord. So that is the stage that these ultimate bhaktas think of. And then there are so many bhaktas, and there are so many categories that we always come across. We have the young ones like Prahlad, who was asked by Brahmadev to calm down the Lord who had arrived down as Narasimha and was extremely angry with Hiranyakashipu. It is Prahlad who quieted him down, sat on his lap, and when he was asked, "What do you want, my son?" he said, "Please forgive my father. He was bad, but it is because he was bad to me that I have been able to see you personally. and I have this pleasure of sitting on your lap. So these ultimate stage bhaktas have their hearts full of compassion, and for them there is nothing else but their Lord. There is another, the Bhakta Shiromani, or the topmost of the bhaktas, is said to be Hanuman. And when they returned, there is a small anecdote related to this. When they returned to Ayodhya, Sita, who was very happy with everybody, gave them a number of gifts to all, Sugriv and Angad and all of them. And finally, she looked at Hanuman, and from her necklace she took out the best of a chain of pearls and gave it to him. He said, "This is for you. You have been so nice and so kind." Hanuman took that set of pearls, went to the corner somewhere, sat down, and broke open each of these pearls into pieces. He started breaking them down in pieces. Sita was very disheartened, and she said, "This is one of the best gifts that I had personally, and that is the one that I have given you. Why are you doing this?" He looked at her and said, "I am trying to break open this and find if my Sri Ram is inside this. So anything that is without Sri Ram for me is meaningless." And that's what a bhakta truly is. Is there a possibility of a bhakta then praying something that is more than the Lord himself? Everything has exceptions and rules. Every rule has an exception, as we all know. We know of Shravan, who carried his parents all the way along throughout their life. And we have so many people today also who look after their parents with the same love and attachment, more than that of the Lord. And the example of that is talked of in the form of Pundalik, who was busy helping out his parents who were sleeping, and he was massaging their feet. And when the Lord was asked by his consort, "Who's your best bhakta?" He said, "Pundalika, of course, there he is." And the Lord turned up along with his wife to see him. And it is said that Pundalik took a brick and threw it at the Lord and said, "Please wait, I am busy massaging the feet of my parents." And that is why Vitthal is said to be standing on a brick. So there are bhaktas of so many different categories. Bhaktas and bhakti is a part and parcel of Indian culture. If you have liked whatever I have said, if you have appreciated whatever I have said, try and emulate some of the good things that are there in these bhaktas. Why the Lord likes them is another issue which I will discuss out. Till we meet again sometime after 15 days. Namaskar.